Hey, it's Uno, and you're tuning in to That's on Cue podcast. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to That's on Cue, a show where we talk about all things life experiences and unraveling the journey of it all through chikahan and kwentuhan. I'm your host, Unukibin, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. So, I know that I've not been really active with posting solo podcast lately kasi I think yung last ata was like last week, and that was about self-sabotage, and like yesterday or last Friday I posted an episode for a new segment, Tuesday Fridays. Woo! If you haven't watched it yet, you should. Me and Hasbin talked about what it means to be happy, and I think that episode is really entertaining and fun. So apologies for the background noise. It's currently raining here, but I don't think it's really gonna be a big problem. So ayun. Going back, I've been really busy with life lately, with school and goals, trying to balance it all, while at the same time trying to regulate my emotions. Because obviously I'm still human after all. And this week has been really exhausting. Because I'm going out and I'm going home late, and like the routine repeats like for like 5 days straight, to the point in which I'm really tired and I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep. That's it. I just want to rest. That's all. Right? But thank God I was able to push through the week, and now I'm recording this episode on a Saturday. So I'm wearing all my cozy stuff on, I'm wearing my comfortable clothes, and I'm currently sitting on my bed, and my setup's here, and it's so nice, right? So for today's episode, we're gonna be talking about, drumroll please, healing. what? Specifically self-healing, right? What it means to heal, how do you heal, etc. etc. So going on with the first question, what is healing nga naman? Right? Kasi I think healing is a process of becoming healthy or healthy again, right? There are a lot of ways of healing, right? There's spiritual, emotional, and physical. The list goes on, right? But note that all of this always has one simple goal, and that is to heal from a wound, either emotionally, spiritually, or physically. Because the process of healing, by definition, is the process of curing yourself from a wound, right? For example, you scraped yourself or you scraped your knee from falling down because of a biking accident, right? Nahulog ka. Obviously, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna bleed, and it's gonna cause you a lot of pain. And the way you approach this wound is if you treat it. Not only treat it, but treat it the right way. You apply alcohol, you band-aid it, and you let it sit. Obviously naman, you're gonna be sitting with that wound for like a couple of weeks, but eventually, it's gonna be gone, right? This applies to all healing, because if you heal, you alleviate yourself from the pain. And today, the healing I want to talk about is self-healing, emotions, trauma, etc. What it means to heal from past situations and grow and to become whole again, right? So me personally, the way I define healing is a process of becoming whole, right? After a situation that has broken you, you pick up the pieces and start again. Wow. And sometimes, or in some parts, you modify yourself and you make yourself better. There are people that say that healing is a destination. It's an endpoint, and healing is something that needs to be achieved to give them some sort of fulfillment, etc. etc. And that's okay. And there's no harm in that. But me personally, the way I see healing, it's more over a journey, right? Healing is a lifelong process and journey of becoming. It's not an endpoint, but rather a series of ups and downs of circumstances that leads you to be more self-aware and leads you to self-discovery and improvement, right? That every day is an opportunity for me to become better and learn new things, right? And to grow, right? I mean, both perspectives are fine naman. It's just the matter, or it's just how you view it, right? So, in my personal experience of healing, I discovered self-healing around 2021 August, right? I found it on TikTok, which is funny kasi like the video was tarot cards. I think si Hey Bestie, na pink tarot card girly. So, ayun. I think I was really interested there. I can't remember what the reading is about, but I do remember like her saying na I needed to do work on myself, right? I need to work on myself to achieve something. And like that really intrigued me because I thought working on yourself only meant doing exercises, right? Pero there's more to that pala. Like working on yourself also means emotional trauma, right? Attachment, mindset. Pero I took that vid with like a grain of salt. I took it lightly. Until time passed na there were more tarot card readings popping up in my For You page and all said the same thing na I needed to work on myself. So, do shadow work and I was like really interested. So, sabi ko, what shadow work? And nag-research ako like what does it mean to do shadow work? And what it means is it's about working to accept yourself. Kasi mostly shadow work is the idea of self-acceptance. It means accepting the worst parts of you, the parts you haven't really recognized or validated, your flaws, like that, right? And the reason for that, or the reason as to why we shy away from those, is because we are scared of what other people might say or react. We sweep those to the side because we are scared of showing our most vulnerable selves to them, right? These qualities does not have to be like bad naman. This could be flaws, insecurities, sweat away and ignored because you just want to focus on the good side. And like back then, around 2021, I thought na ignoring or thinking that you don't have flaws or insecurities is a good way to approach a problem. Saying na, oh, I'm good, I'm perfect, I don't need to do anything. And that was bad pala. And that was like really dismissive because I'm not really addressing the problem, right? I'm just ignoring it. And back then, I was really operating on low vibrational frequency. That means to say that I always overthink, I'm insecure, and I'm really attached to majority of things in my life. That I'm scared of letting go kasi I'm in certain circumstances. This was the only thing I've ever known, and letting go means releasing myself into uncertainty. Or like something inside just kept saying to just follow what they say, yung mga tarot cards. Work on yourself, do shadow work, etc., etc. And so I did. And looking where healing has brought me right now, I could say it was worth it, right? So, to sum it all up, my healing journey started because of tarot cards, right? The majority of things I've learned with psychology, relationships, and like attachment styles resulted because of tarot cards in my For You page. And I think that's really, really funny and beautiful at the end of the day. Anyways, going on, you have to understand healing is not easy. My healing journey is not easy. Accepting myself was not easy because back then, I really didn't want to accept and embrace myself. I had like people-pleasing tendencies that I thought my purpose is to only perform and be of entertainment. And my main source of happiness came from the people's applauses or laughs and I really enjoyed it. And that was my way of feeling love back then. So like my healing journey was really overwhelming for me because I had to let go of certain ideas that I thought were doing me good pero in reality it wasn't pala. Like for example, communicating the problems I had in certain friendships because I was scared that I might ruin the connection by just talking. And like for the whole time I just kept it to myself and shrugged it off pero in reality pala it was taking a toll on my mental health. Right, I was very people-pleasing back then, but right now I have healed enough to learn that saying no is okay. Saying no might not be pleasing to the other person, but it will be good for you depending on the situation. So really, shadow work is a process. The process is not one straight line. It's crooked. It's not linear, right? Some days you will feel like you're healed, and the next day you will feel like you're shit. And like that's exactly what I personally went through. And eventually, I had learned that accepting and embracing myself gave me the opportunity to learn about myself more. And that's why the idea of healing yourself, with the process, you learn about yourself more, what you want, what you don't want. And like sometimes in healing, you have to experience things that will cause you to break down. But you learn from it, right? And I have healed enough to know that everything that surrounds me is simply reflecting back what I need to learn more about myself, right? Anything that annoys me, for example, is teaching me the value of patience. Anything that abandons me is teaching me the value of standing up on my own. And anything that shakes me is teaching the value of resilience. And I did not develop this mindset by just reading or solely reading, right? I experienced these things personally, right? These were situations that has caused me an immense amount of pain and suffering, and instead of like complaining about it, I had to sit with my emotions. Breaking down is like a usual thing for me back then, but it taught me a lot of things. My emotions are valid. It's okay to be weak, and being vulnerable is something that isn't bad, right? That sometimes crying is okay. It's a way to process these emotions, right? These things I learned with my healing journey, and it has built a foundation where I'm able to like regulate my emotions and not dismiss. Because back then I thought crying was like bad. Because I grew up in an environment where feeling that emotion is not a good thing. And what that did to me is eternally I'm making myself a ball of sadness to the point in which at any moment I could explode, right? But also I have learned that my emotions are valid and it's my responsibility, that I should not let others be affected by it. So I have built a foundation where I'm able to regulate these emotions, but also embrace myself and accept myself fully. That I stand up for myself when I can't lean on anyone. But there's like a common misconception na if you're healed, you won't be able to feel sad anymore because you're gonna be happy. Take note that being healed doesn't mean you will not be sad anymore or be angry anymore when something triggers you, right? Being healed means being able to process them healthily. That when you feel sadness, the way you process it is not by shying away because it hurts, but to embrace and feel it. And I know it's hard, especially with the hard emotions, but it's better to feel it now than to feel it later. Right? That's something that I learned with my healing journey too. Because with feeling emotions, you're acknowledging it. You're accepting that there's something that triggered the emotion and you process it, right? The way you process anger by a healed person is not by exploding and shouting and screaming and punching, but by taking a step back and processing what exactly triggered your anger. A healed human is still a human with emotions, but the difference is an unhealed human will project their insecurities and flaws to other people. They criticize, they bully, and like they do those things to make themselves feel better. And as much as we can all agree we hate those people, those are the people that needs more love. Because those people grew up in an environment where it's not healthy. They get verbally abused and told that they are this and that, and has led them to grow up like that because they never really received any proper emotional form of love, right? So it is not our responsibility to heal them, we can empathize on them, right? To add up to that, in relationships, for example, note that it is not your sole duty to fix your partner's insecurities and wounds. Nag-enter ka sa relationship to like grow, right? To grow together. It's a partnership at the end of the day. Both of you has your own wounds, and that needs to be worked on separately. Though it is not their responsibility to heal you, they must still be loving to you. Syempre naman, it's a relationship. Or example, may pogi or may maganda, pero red flag naman. Cold, ghoster, etc. Right? Pero you said, may potential. Kahit naman may potential siya, you're not a coach to fix that person. You're not a maintenance worker to say that, I can fix him, I can fix her, I can fix them. It's not your responsibility at all. It will only take a toll on your mental health, and it's gonna be draining if you see that there's no progress at all, right? So your emotions are tools, and circumstances and situations are the external factors that will trigger those emotions, that will lead you to burst out sometimes, but at the end of the day, you will learn something more about yourself. And forgive yourself for bursting out because you're human after all. Life will just give you situations that will break you, but the way I see it, you learn from it and you become more resilient. And the healing journey, although it's hard, it's true it's hard. Although there are relapses, it's not linear, right? Take note that the healing journey is full of ups and downs. And it's, at the end of the day, it's just simply teaching something more about you or who you are as a person. And with the healing journey, you evolve, you change, and you grow over time. And with the saying life is short, I think healing can make it even better. So why do we need to heal? Why is it important for us to heal? We need to heal because we need to break a toxic cycle. A cycle we didn't even know was bad. A cycle we have been living under for like probably half of our lives. For example, in relationships, if you're staying in a relationship where all you do is chase the other person with hopes that one day that this will change, you are limiting yourself to the people who would want to give you the love you deserve. But sometimes in that situation, that could be used as a lesson to not do it again, to not chase again. Therefore, you learn to not chase because in that cycle, it's toxic because it's one-sided. You're not receiving the love you deserve and you're only giving the love to the other person. You get nothing. There's no reciprocation, right? Therefore, you are able to learn from it and grow. It might take a while to like learn and unlearn certain things and ideas, but there's no rush to the path of healing because everyone works at their own pace. For me personally, it took me a year and a half to learn and unlearn things about my relationships and connections, that it's okay to communicate the problems you have. It's okay to communicate what you feel because your feelings are valid. Because back then, I was not the type of person that would like communicate how I felt at that moment, where I just kept it to myself because I was scared of what could happen after the discussion or after me talking about what I feel, right? I might like ruin the relationship, or I might, at worst case, break it off with the other person. But I've learned and I've healed and worked on myself enough to know that communicating is part of the relationship too. Communicating your problems and addressing the issues you would want to tackle to the other person is part of growing in a relationship. So back then, there wasn't really much growth in like terms of my relationships or my friendships because I wasn't able to communicate how I felt, right? It was like really stagnant, or for me, it was really draining because it was only kept to myself, right? But it's important to communicate how you feel, right? And I'm sure that the other person would understand, as because it is your feelings too. Healing requires you to forgive, accept, and embrace. What do I mean by this? You forgive yourself and you forgive your past, the things you have done in your past, the things that you have tolerated in your past. You forgive all of those because it is a way you acknowledge yourself. It is a way for you to have closure or to like make peace with the past. It is important to make peace with the past so you are not bothered in the present, so you could move on with the future. Because if you haven't like forgiven yourself for the things you have done in the past, you're not able to like move forward, right? Because in the present, you're always going to be thinking, right? Thinking about that. It's going to be in the back of your head all the time. Although it's important to take accountability for it, you must forgive yourself because you're still human and you're able to change. Everyone is able to change, right? Through the course of time, you're eventually going to evolve and move past that, right? And eventually, you're going to learn the lesson, you're going to extract the lesson, and you're going to be better, right? That's going to be another lesson that you learned, and that's going to be another like part of you that's going to level up. But also, you must accept who you are. In the healing journey, it is the process, or in shadow work, for example, it's a process of self-acceptance. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take some time to accept yourself. But bear with yourself in this process. You must accept yourself with all of your flaws and insecurities, that I am this is who I am, this is what they see, and maybe that's okay. Because no one's perfect. No one's perfect. No one is God here, right? Everyone has their own uniqueness, and instead of comparing yourself to that uniqueness, or instead of comparing yourself to other people, embrace yourself, right? You must accept who you are, because if you accept who you are acknowledging all of your quirks, all of your uniqueness, and you're able to embrace that even more, right? Because if you accept who you are, you're able to embrace who you are. right? And if you're able to embrace who you are, you can use that to your advantage, and you are able to know who you are, right? Who you are as a person. Self-identity is important in like life, so you are able to like know what you want and know what you don't want, know your worth as a person, and what you don't tolerate anymore, right? Healing is also a journey of learning and unlearning things, and learning that some things cannot be tolerated. And maybe back then you thought this was already like a normal thing, or this was a common thing to like accept and tolerate. But hey, forgive yourself for not knowing much back then. Now you know what's good and what's bad, what not to tolerate, and you can use that to your advantage to not let anyone affect you, right? Or to not let anyone rule over you. But also, in the healing journey, everyone has their own problems and issues they face. Everyone's healing journey is different and is at a different level in life, right? So, a tip that has helped me, or like a saying that has helped me in a lot of ways, especially in my healing journey, to allow myself to empathize on others, but also make peace for like situations that has wronged me or people that has wronged me, is this one. People could only meet you at the level they met themselves. Communicate to the level of their self-awareness and behave to the level of their healed trauma. So what does this mean? People are only able to understand you at the level they understand themselves, because that is the degree they have yet discovered. Their perception of you is based on how they perceive themselves, right? So if they can't understand you at an emotional level or be vulnerable with you, that's because they haven't been able to process those emotions, or even yet allow themselves to feel that way. And maybe sometimes there are some people that project their insecurities onto you. That's because they haven't healed enough yet to like not do that. So we must emphasize on them. We can't expect them to be at the same level as us, but we can communicate to them. And with that saying, or that piece of advice, it has given me peace with the amount of circumstances that has wronged me, right? And so far, I'm living a peaceful life, and I've like gained closure eventually with each situation because of that saying. But also, why do we need to heal? You know the saying, hurt people hurt people? I think it's true. Because hurt people because they themselves have been hurt too. They lash out people they love as because they are protecting themselves from being hurt again. They don't want to experience that feeling of pain again. That abused people become abusers because never in their life have they experienced a proper form of love and care, and so they are less likely to be that person, or they're less likely to be loving and caring because they haven't received that growing up. Same thing could apply with healing. Healed people heal people. If we allow ourselves to do the inner work, if we allow ourselves to heal our trauma, we allow ourselves to not affect the people we love or other people. We allow ourselves to healthily communicate that what they're doing is not good to us, and we radiate an energy that is healing to other people. And that energy is good, right? Because energy does not lie. Energy is contagious, right? We radiate different energies to other people, and it is up to you onto what type of energy you want to give, right? So it is important to be aware of what you radiate, right? If you radiate sadness, then it's more likely that other people that surrounds you are gonna feel that energy, and it's gonna be like not a good type of energy, right? It's not a good energy to feel. But also, if we allow ourselves to heal, you allow yourselves to know how to be loved, right? Knowing how to love yourself allows you to love others even more, right? Because if you invest yourself to become more loving, then you are likely to become more loving, right? Knowing how to love yourself more allows you to love others even more. But also, if you love yourself, you're able to communicate to others how you're able or how you want to be loved, right? Or what exactly makes you feel love, right? And you are more likely to show love and care to the world. Because if you love yourself, you know that love, right? Because that love is already within you, and you are likely to radiate that. So there are a lot of ways to do healing. And me personally, what I love to use, or technique I love to use, is applying the love language you give to other people to yourselves. So me personally, I have a love language of words of affirmation. So what I do is I affirm myself every morning, or I affirm myself daily, or especially in the tough times, I affirm myself. So take it for example, if I'm going through a rough patch, how I'm advising my friends, or how I'm like likely to talk to my friends if they're having a rough patch, is the same way I talk to myself. You're okay. This is a problem that's eventually gonna pass. You're human. Allow yourselves to feel those emotions. It's gonna pass. Just let it all out, right? And this way, it has healed me several times. The way you give yourself affirmations, even if your love language isn't words of affirmations, it's very healing. But taken for example, if your love language is quality time, spend more time with yourselves, right? Have solitude, right? Go out to the mall or a coffee shop and buy your favorite drink and enjoy that, right? Enjoy the time you have with yourself. Or taken for example, if your love language is gift giving, gift yourselves a small reward, even if it's like your favorite chocolate bar, or you go to a convenience store and buy what you want, right? Because you just deserve it, right? Even if there's like nothing really special going on, if there's no special occasion, you're allowed to gift yourselves the things you want. You're allowed to embrace that because you're deserving, right? You're a human, and if it makes you happy, go for it. And that's a great way to like heal yourselves, because you are allowing yourself to feel love. Especially, you're allowing yourself to feel love with the love language you give, your ideal love language. But secondly, the second way I personally use to heal is I read self-help books, right? I mean, like, watching videos on TikTok on how to heal is good, but it isn't enough. You need to actually do the research, and you actually need to read to actually help yourself. And the first book I've read was A Gentle Reminder by Bianca. I can't remember the last name, but it was A Gentle Reminder, and it helped me in a lot of ways. Especially, it helped me allow myself to feel my emotions and empathize on myself. Because with that, I am now able to empathize on others, right? Because I gained new information and I gained knowledge. But so far, I've been reading a lot of self-help books, and it helps me become self-aware of what triggers me, right? Because in the healing journey, it's a process of learning your triggers too. It's a process of what exactly triggers your anger, triggers your sadness, and it's important to be aware of those. Because if you're aware of those, you're able to work on it. And if you're able to work on it, you're able to become a better version of yourself. A better version than the version you have in the present. And the way you actually approach this issue, or the way you are able to like understand your triggers, is if you become aware, but also if you write it down. Journaling helps. I think it's good. It's ideal to have a journal with you and to write down all of your thoughts, your rants, your vents, because you can't always rely on other people to give you happiness, or you can't always rely on other people to lean on them, right? It's important that you write those down and work on yourself. Because if you write it down, you're able to take note of it, and if you're able to take note of it, you're able to understand. And with journaling, in my personal like experience, I've gained a lot of self-reflections, and it helped me in a lot of ways. For example, I was able to become more self-aware, but also I'm able to, since I took those down, I'm able to like look back on where I've started and see how much I've progressed. And like I've gained so much fulfillment with that, and that's really, really nice. So I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you for stopping by and tuning in to That's on You podcast. So today we talked about healing. Note that healing is not all about cupcakes and rainbows. It's a process of unraveling a version of you are yet to become. But if you choose that path of healing, it's better because that version will become stronger. Healing is a metamorphosis, a process of becoming a butterfly, but just like butterflies, they were once a caterpillar too, which is something that the world regards as ugly. Note that you are a caterpillar and you are a butterfly. You must accept all versions of you because those versions need love too. This is a daily reminder that you are loved and cared for, either silently, verbally, or emotionally. You are always loved because you are loved. Again, I'm your host, Unkibin, and thank you for tuning in to That's on Cue.